This is Pete Moore on Halo Talks NYC. I have the pleasure of bringing our only TaeKwonDo champion and biomedical engineer to Halo Talks. In over 600 episodes, we have not had someone with these types of attributes. So, Marco Benitez, welcome to your first Halo Talks.
Well, thanks so much. Very excited to be here, man. So really appreciate it.
Awesome. So for our audience here, Marco started up a company called Rook, Rook. So if you want to start out and just tell us, where this name came from, because I play a little bit of chess, so I know I got a rook or a castle, and tell us how you came up with this and why you decided that four-letter word was where we're headed.
Yeah, well, that's a really good question because there's a lot of people who ask me the same thing, and everyone relates everything with chase. But no, in fact, it's with around the crawls. So we were thinking about crawls, and when they are flying together, there is a group that work together, and they are one of the smartest birds in the earth. So and that's why we call it Rook, because we are a group of birds, flying together, and every single time everyone will take the leadership in different type of areas. So that's why, and everything is connected between each other, and they don't know why or how, but everything is connected between, and that's exactly what we do. We connect data.
Love it. So give us your background. I already gave the abridged, top 2 out of 10 or what have you, but what you've learned, where you saw the frustration. Maybe also give us an analogy, because I think there are several good ones in other industries where you need this kind of middleware, you need this group in between to kind of, direct traffic and direct data.
Yeah, well, being a middleware, it's a lovely part because you can bring and be very specialized in different type of things with data. For example, my background, I'm definitely a TaeKwonDo guy. My whole life, exercise, sports, that's my thing. I love sports. I love because it give you a lot of discipline, perseverance. There's a lot of things, very good things over there. But secondly, also work in big pharma in clinical trials. So clinical trials, I learned a lot around be a middleware. The clinical trial is something that apparently looks like from the beginning, you have to create a protocol, need to create a molecule, and then find different, find to solve different type of problems with different diseases. Mm-hmm. But in the meantime, in the middle, there's a lot of vendors working towards this to achieve that specific thing, like generate all the data from the data, from real world evidence to identify the problem. So there is a different type of things. So my learnings during these whole years is like, if you specialize in specific thing around data, and you can create things, and even more important, when you have a lot of information or data, you can improve people's lives. That's why we start to build Rook, because it's very important. Now data is the new oil, so we can help people to being better.
Gotcha. And then, when you started this up, were you currently at a different job and kind of moonlighting this? How quickly did you put your team together? And then you said you raised some VC money. So to give us a little bit of info on that.
Yeah, I can start through, when I was in the big pharma, I was over there like, I don't know, probably 12 years in the big pharma. And again, different type of learnings. When you work with an enterprise, you identify that you have to be very structured. That's the first and important thing, even though that they are very long and old companies, they give you a very good structure of how to build a company. That's something that they give it to me. Secondly, also, as I said before, when you have a lot of information, you can create things. But even more important, when you have a lot of data, you can improve people's lives. So that's why we start to build Rook, because we were, health industry, there's a new wave of gadgets. There's a new wave of wearables, these commercial wearables. In fact, some of them start to receive FDA clearance. That's impressive. Now, these wearables are becoming medical devices. So we identify something that potentially could be very interesting. The problem over there is like a lot of industries, what we made a lot of research over there, a lot of industries want to pull the data from these devices, these wearable devices. However, they don't know how to pull all these data. They need to integrate all the wearables that are outside and make sense of all this data. And we saw the problem since the beginning, because before we create Rook, we have a platform for the fitness industry, like MyZone for Latin
Yeah, sure.
America and these type of things. So we started to integrate all these wearables in our own platform, and we saw the big problem over there.
Mm.
Once we extract the data and once we start to make sense of all this information, we saw the big problem over there. So that's why we start to do this API for other
So you
companies.
actually had a company that was doing the equivalent of MyZone with the body straps,
Yes.
heart rate monitors, and it kind of morphed it into like, hey, why don't we just not sell our own into studios or locations? Let's actually scale this and kind of move up the not the food chain, but the data chain to say,
Yeah.
hey, let's just do this as agnostic. So how do companies like this, get paid? I'll give you an example. Like I use Zelle or Zelly, right,
Mhm.
for transfers. They're obviously just connecting two different banks, and there seems to be no transaction fee. There's a company called Plaid, Plaid, which basically is like doing that as well. So how does that business model work for like the lay people here and myself? Thank you very much. Even though I went to Harvard Business School, I don't fucking know this. How does this work, and how do you kind of fit yourself in on something meaningful?
Yeah, there's like different, yeah, Plaid, that's the perfect example. But because normally when we talk with different investors, they are like, okay, you are the Plaid for the wearables data and the medical devices
Nice.
data.
I knew
That's
I
the
was
way.
close when I read
No,
read,
you,
right?
you, you, you
I was
know, you
close. I
nailed,
didn't know. I didn't know. I didn't know. Okay.
you nail it. So you
Okay,
are perfectly
thanks.
fine. So that's cool. So yeah, it's mainly around some companies charge per API call. What we charge is per active user. It doesn't matter that you send one time data or 1 million of time this information, which only charge per active user. So it's very simple. It's per use. And if you want, we can tier you in different buckets where
And who's
depending on how
who's
many
actually
end users
paying?
you have.
Who's actually paying for the active user? Where's like what constitutes me as an active user? And then is it the device that makes me the active user? Or is my data going to somewhere else, which makes me the active user? Who owns me?
Yeah, well, it's the payer. So that
Yeah.
depends a little bit because we work mainly with a fitness industry, but also we work with sports and also with insurance companies. So
Okay.
in the case of the insurance companies, the payer, I will say that at the end of the day, everyone, the end user, is always the one who pays everything, right? So
Okay.
that's something true. Every single time that we go to one specific service, we are the ones who pay for that service, and on top of different type of services that the same thing you are buying. But for us, we are B2B, meaning that we charge to the carriers or we charge to the insurtech companies
Right.
like, I don't know, Betterfly or these type of companies that are using this data for a specific thing. They are the ones who are paying us. Or, for example,
Got it.
in the fitness industry and fitness app or the
Yeah.
gym, if the gym has an application, they integrate my API, which is only a code, and they give access to more than 300 wearables so they can pull the data from the end users and
Got it.
make sense of all this information, make engagement or different type of things.
And every time someone upgrades a device, does that require a different API on the back end, on your end, or coding, or what have you?
Well, that's exactly the problem that we are taking out from each company. So instead of, because if they doesn't have a Rook, they have to integrate all the wearables. They need to integrate the Apple
Yeah.
Watch, the Polar, the Garmin, the Suunto, the Huawei, and
And
then
upgrades
maintains
every time. Yeah.
exactly
Yeah.
maintain
Yeah.
those integrations and then
Yeah.
make sense of all this data because they need to standardize, normalize, harmonize, take out duplicity. Well, we
Gotcha.
take out all these problems. Take out that problem, and they only have to integrate my API, which is just a code. In
Right.
my code, we have already more than 300 wearables, and
Got it.
we make sense of all this data, and we deliver clean and very structured, standardized, normalized, very easy to use the information.
Well, I've got two questions. First question is, there are 300 wearables out there. There might be a new one that comes out, every week. Who knows who it's backing, what country it's from? Is there a threshold where you like, look, like I'm not taking on a new wearable and actually devote time to that API and understand your system until it gets to X number of users? I'm asking you this one because we got a lot of entrepreneurs on the call here that listen in to the podcast, and I feel like it's hard for entrepreneurs to say no. And you always want to just say like, oh, there's a new device, let's just add it on. Like we'll get to 305, we'll get to 310, and you realize like return on time, you could have said no to those things and say, hey, once that thing gets some critical mass, then we'll add them on. That was my question
Yeah,
one.
that's a really good question, and this is something that at the very beginning we struggle, right? Because you are focused on what you see outside, and if you don't have a lot of feedback from the client or potential client, that depending on the stage that you are, it's like you start to do a lot of things and nothing works. So
Right, right.
so to answer your question is like we have to ask to our clients. That's the important thing. And first of all, the market share. Who are the ones who are in the market share? The most ones,
Got it.
is the Apple Watch, maybe the Fitbit. We make all this research and we start with something. Then when we have a client or a potential client, we start to ask, okay, which wearables do you need and why?
Right,
And that's when we start to create the things for our clients. And then what we identify is that the same problem and the same wearables, that those ones are the ones that need the other companies when you are in the same industry, because we are working with insurance companies, so they have already a specific target of wearables because of the FDA, because of the GDPR, information outside, because of different type of things. They already know which kind of wearables they need. So
yep.
those ones are the ones that we have already.
Got it. Okay, my second question is, and just as an update for our audience and for you, this year we started doing every Wednesday we do a 2 minute drill from our Halo Academy. So I teach people on here's what revenue is, here's EBITDA, here's recurring revenue, here's what your balance sheet looks like, here's how you do member attrition, retention, all that kind of stuff. What I'd like to do with you right now is I want to do like a 2 minute drill that we do separately, and then it'll be like, hey, you want to listen to the whole podcast? Come in here. So let's do one on like the benefit of a B2B SaaS company, why those companies are valued the way they are, and why the recurring revenue is so sticky that to take you out and replace you with someone else is like a completely unnecessary financial decision and actually a much bigger nuisance than you would ever think that you're saving money on us. So I'm going to start it. I've got Marco on here. We're doing our 2 minute drill segment. So Marco is with Rook, startup a company that's a B2B SaaS player, which basically sits as middleware in the middle of all the wearables and all the data providers, and actually getting that into their one of 300 app of choice or onto their fitness app, whichever they use. So Marco, when you started this company and thought about the business model, talk about like the benefits of how this business model works over time.
Yeah, well, first of all, it's because the pain that we are taking out. That's the
Right.
first and important thing. We understood why they need this type of thing. What are the pains that we are taking out? Secondly, is working with enterprises is the best way because it's take time. It take a lot of time to close some deals, but once they are closed, you will receive a lot of feedback from them, and you will be in the heart of the company because we, as an API solution, we live inside the platform, inside the app. So that for them, it's a no-brainer to still work with us and make a partnership and sometimes invest in the company. So
Right.
we have some companies that already invest in Rook because we are not anymore like a vendor. We are like a part of the complete ecosystem. So
Right.
it's
So
great to work with them.
yeah, and then on the SaaS side, software as a service. Just for our listeners here, when you think about that business model on a monthly basis, Marco's getting a dollar amount from each one of his clients. It's such a de minimis part of the entire financial um, expense structure on a per user basis that there will really be never any way for someone to come in and say, "Hey, I can do this API better than you," right? Given the interchange costs, and also when you think about it from an investor standpoint, when Rook lands a deal, they land that deal. As long as that company stays in business and hopefully continues to grow, that is a accelerating recurring revenue membership model through SaaS fees that allows these companies to trade at 5 to 10 times revenue historically because it's hard to pull out. You don't really need to pull out that expense. And it's very, very unlikely that someone who's on either side of your client base and your user base are going to build the middleware because they're conflicted and they're not actually neutral party.
And it's predictable at the end of the day. So when you are talking with investors and also for you, would you want to hire people, everything that can be predictable when you have some clients, that's perfect. That's the type of things that investors love.
And if you're an entrepreneur and you do a B2B software play and it works like Rook does, then you can sleep at night instead of not
Oh
sleeping
yeah.
anymore. So welcome to the Halo sector on that. Thanks, Marco. Back to
Thanks.
our originally started podcast. So Marco, thanks for the 2-minute drill. From a standpoint of, where you take this company, do you bring on more salespeople? Do you go international? Do you go and advertise at trade shows? Like, how do you get this infiltrated? We're just on a call. Someone, one of the guys just said, like, ABC Fitness, a 38-year overnight success,
Yeah.
right? Or another guy just told me it takes 8 years to build something that people like really want in scale. So how do you think about that? TaeKwonDo is obviously, you can win or lose, and it, plays several matches in a day. So how do you think about the long game?
Yeah, I think everything is a long game. There's not easy roads, easy ways. Like at the end of the day, it's like the Taekwondo, for example. If you want to, I am black belt for that, but to become a black belt, it's something that takes time. It's not something that happens from one day to another. It took you to learn a lot of stuff. You have to work every single day. You have to, go to the tournaments, prove yourself. There's too many things that need to happen during the whole, it took me at least 15 years to become a black belt and be a teacher and be someone in the industry. So it's not something that happened from one day to another. It's the same thing with companies. Is there's like an one day turn on and turn off new companies, unicorns. It looks like that, but it's not
Right.
not even short. It's like the egg and the chicken. There's a good book over there, like the good for to great. It
Yeah.
tells you like, hey, the chicken, it doesn't appear from one day to another. It take a lot of time. You have to be the perfect temperature, have to be the perfect environment to be that the chicken born. So it's something that everything is around the long term. So on our side today, we are this technology company that helps to be a pipe. Like we extract the data, we structure the data, and we deliver that data. But at the end of the day, we want to become a data science company. A data science company is because we have a lot of data. We can help them to improve people's life. We can help to do business. Smart business decisions with all this information. So it's like helping them to do something with the data, do insights, do predictions. Those are the type of things that we are in. That's our ambition.
So one of the things, well, first off, we got to get you a copy of our book, which is called Time to Win Again, which is basically 52 takeaways from team sports to ensure your business success. We'll drop ship a couple of those for your team guys, but we basically say it's good to great meets Where's Waldo, in like a bullet point, like cartoon character format. So we did that during COVID. You'll love it. We'll get a book out. The second thing that I wanted to reference here with you on the business model as it relates to like where this is going. I use this term. Somebody asked me at a tech conference, like, what do you think of AI? And I said to like all these operators, and I kind of leaned in. So I'll just lean in because I got room in here. I'll be like, you can't have artificial intelligence until you have intelligence.
Exactly.
Okay. And I step back and I'm like, just think about that. You got to collect all this data. And then when you say, hey, I'm going to provide this information, in this industry, I find that you might have to do more than just give them the information. You might have to tell them what it
Yes.
means and then what to do with it. So how do you feel about kind of not only just being in the middle, but saying like, I'm coming at you right now and I'm actually going to tell you what the ship means. I'm going to tell you how to monetize it or optimize it or.
Yeah, I mean, that's again a really good question because AI now everyone has a label. Say it's like a bumper sticker. It's
Yeah.
like everyone has a bumper sticker about the AI. That's something that impressed me a lot, and it's. I know there is a hype over there, and I think that will change everything. AI is changing everything. I believe so. The problem is that if you don't know exactly what problem you are solving, who cares the AI?
Exactly. Exactly.
It
Thank you.
doesn't make sense. So I with you. I'm
Yeah.
definitely
Yeah.
100% with you.
Yeah. So, in closing here, can you give us, who the right clients are that you're looking for right now? Either what trade shows you're going to be at, or how to reach you guys, and so on and so forth.
Yeah. Well, first of all, we have different type of clients, but mainly the ones who are looking and can help with a lot of value is in the fitness industry. Definitely everyone who wants to extract the data, but to engage with the end users, to try to understand a little bit more around them. We are a perfect fit for them because we can give you a lot of insights today because we started with the fitness. But rather now we are moving towards, with the insurance companies, they are doing very interesting things and they are moving to the preventive side,
Mm-hmm. Good.
more
Finally.
than reactive. So CPT codes are starting to move on the preventive side. So everyone who works with the insurance companies and want to integrate this type of technology or working with an insurtech, because normally the carriers are not the ones who are, the state farms, they are not building the technology, but they are working with insurtechs. The insurtechs are the ones who are building the technology.
Yeah.
So with them, that's where we can find a lot of clients over there in the digital health space too. So yeah, definitely everyone who wants wearables in their own technology, we are the ones and we can help because it's very consultative. It's not something that, we are not selling a product, we are selling consultation.
Yeah. So Marco's company again is Rook. They are a flock of the most badass crows you're ever going to meet. Let them help you move your data, get results, and then provide the AI as the special sauce. So, Marco, look forward to meeting you in person, and we're going to rip the 2-minute drill also. So, thank you for helping us unravel what a B2B SaaS business is and why it's so interesting and predictable and exciting once you kind of nail the actual business model and provide the results. All right, man. Good to meet you. Awesome.
Good to meet you too.